Elias Thorne woke before the sun, as he always did, to the familiar crow of his rooster, a sound that was both an alarm clock and a poignant reminder of his solitary existence on Thistle Creek Farm. The morning air, crisp and carrying the scent of damp earth and distant pine, offered little comfort against the gnawing anxiety in his gut. The farm, a patchwork of rolling pastures and weathered barns that had been in his family for 3 generations, felt less like a sanctuary and more like a stubborn, slowly crumbling monument to a bygone era. Before we carry on, please hit the subscribe button to make my day and let me know where you are watching from in the comments. His flock of heritage hens, a motley crew of Rhode Island Reds, Plymouth Rocks, and a few Corky Silkies, were prolific layers. They produced an abundance of eggs, their shells varying in shades from rich chocolate brown to delicate sky blue. But selling them had become a relentless uphill battle. The local farmers' market, once a bustling hub, now felt sparse, overshadowed by large corporate grocery chains and the relentless march of modern agriculture. People wanted convenience, not the slightly irregular, intensely flavorful eggs from a small, independent farm. The small roadside stand he'd set up barely covered the cost of feed, let alone the rising property taxes or the repairs needed for his perpetually ailing tractor. That morning, as he gathered the warm, smooth eggs from the nesting boxes, he sighed, seeing the overflowing baskets. He already had dozens more than he could reasonably sell or even give away to his few elderly neighbors. Waste was anathema to Elias, a cardinal sin ingrained in him by his grandfather, who had weathered the leanest of times. He couldn't bear the thought of perfectly good food going unappreciated. An idea, simple and born of resignation, flickered in his mind. He grabbed an old wicker basket, carefully nestled 2 dozen of the freshest eggs inside, and carried it out to the edge of his property, near the quiet county road. He propped up a weather-beaten wooden sign, hastily scrawled with chalk, "Free eggs. Enjoy." It was a gesture of surrender, a small act of generosity in the face of insurmountable odds. Maybe someone, anyone, would find a use for them. He wasn't looking for payment, or even gratitude, just for the eggs to find a home where they would be appreciated. He watched from the porch as a sleek, unfamiliar SUV, a stark contrast to the usual rusted pickups that frequented the road, slowed down. A woman with vibrant red hair, pulled back in a sheet ponytail, stepped out. She wore sunglasses that obscured her eyes, but her posture was confident, almost regal. She paused, her head tilted, studying the "free" sign, then glanced around, as if unsure if this was a trick. Slowly, cautiously, she approached the basket. Elias held his breath, a strange mix of curiosity and embarrassment washing over him. She bent down, picked up one of the eggs, her gloved fingers gently tracing its smooth brown shell. He watched as she took a deep breath, an almost imperceptible inhale, as if savoring the simple, earthy scent. Then, to his surprise, a genuine, wide smile spread across her face, a smile that reached her eyes, even behind the dark lenses. It was a smile of pure delight, unexpected and infectious. She carefully placed the eggs into a reusable grocery bag she pulled from her vehicle, a gesture that spoke of respect for the produce. Before getting back into her car, she paused, looked towards the farm, and gave a small, almost imperceptible nod, as if acknowledging an unseen benefactor. Then, she was gone, the dust from her tires settling slowly back onto the quiet road. Elias stood there for a long moment, a strange warmth spreading through his chest. It was a small thing, a basket of eggs, but her genuine appreciation, that unexpected smile, resonated deeply within him. It was a tiny flicker of connection in his isolated world, a brief respite from the ever-present weight of his struggles. He went back to his chores, mending fences, feeding the chickens, his mind replaying the woman's fleeting smile, a small, unexpected gift in his otherwise challenging day. He had no idea, not the slightest inkling, that this seemingly insignificant exchange was about to crack open his solitary life and unleash a whirlwind that would change Thistle Creek Farm and his own destiny forever. The simple act of giving away a few surplus eggs was about to become the unexpected catalyst for a story far grander than he could ever imagine. Days bled into a familiar pattern of arduous farm work and quiet solitude for Elias. The encounter with the red-haired woman and her genuine smile became a fleeting, pleasant memory, a brief sunbeam in the otherwise overcast skies of his struggle. He continued to place surplus eggs by the roadside, a quiet gesture of defiance against waste, and occasionally, a different car would stop, the different stranger would take them, leaving him with a sense of quiet satisfaction. Then, one brisk autumn morning, as Elias was hauling a fresh bale of hay towards the barn, he heard the distinct crunch of tires on his gravel driveway. It wasn't the usual sound of a delivery truck or his neighbor's old pickup. This was the hum of multiple vehicles, too many for a casual visit. He straightened up, wiping a bead of sweat from his brow with the back of his calloused hand. His gaze narrowed in curiosity and a touch of apprehension. A sleek, black van, emblazoned with a logo he didn't immediately recognize, led the procession, followed by a second, larger white van, and then, unmistakably, the same elegant SUV from a few days prior. His heart gave a curious thump. The red-haired woman. She stepped out of the SUV, this time without sunglasses, revealing eyes that sparkled with an intelligent, almost mischievous light. She wasn't alone. A crew of people emerged from the vans, laden with equipment, cameras, boom mics, and light reflectors. They moved with a practiced, efficient air, like a well-oiled machine. Emily Vance, a name Elias didn't yet know, but one that resonated with millions of viewers across the country, was a culinary force. She was the acclaimed host and executive producer of Farm to Feast, a wildly popular Food Network series that celebrated the unsung heroes of agriculture, connecting viewers to the origins of their food and showcasing the passionate individuals behind sustainable farming. She had built her career on authenticity, on finding genuine stories that resonated with the heart. When she had spotted the "free eggs" sign a few days prior, she had been on a scouting trip, feeling increasingly frustrated by the staged, overly polished farms her producers kept presenting. She was looking for something real, something raw, something that truly embodied the spirit of farm-to-table. The simple honesty of that sign, the humble offering of surplus, untouched eggs, had immediately captured her attention. The quality of the eggs themselves, their rich yolks and firm whites, had confirmed her intuition. This farmer, whoever he was, cared deeply about his produce. And that fleeting glimpse of Elias, a man deeply connected to his land, had solidified her decision. This was the story she wanted. This was the opening for her next season. She approached Elias, her smile as genuine and radiant as the one he remembered. "Mr. Thorne?" she asked, her voice clear and melodious, carrying a natural warmth that immediately put him at ease, despite the unsettling presence of the camera crew. Elias, still slightly bewildered, nodded slowly. "That's me. Can I help you?" "My name is Emily Vance," she introduced herself, extending a hand. Her grip was firm, confident. "I was the woman who took your free eggs a few days ago, and I have to tell you, they were absolutely incredible. The flavor, the richness simply unparalleled." Elias felt a blush creep up his neck. He wasn't accustomed to such effusive praise, especially not from someone who looked like she belonged on a magazine cover. "Just good hens," he mumbled, shrugging awkwardly. Emily chuckled, a warm, genuine sound. "More than just good hens, I assure you. Mr. Thorne, I'm the host of Farm to Feast on the Food Network." She paused, letting the information sink in. Elias's eyes widened, a flicker of recognition passing through them. He didn't watch much television, but even he knew of the Food Network, and dimly, he recalled seeing her face on a magazine at the grocery store checkout. "And," she continued, gesturing to the crew who were now discreetly setting up their equipment, their faces professional and expectant, "we'd like to feature your farm and your story as the opening episode for our next season. We want to show the world the passion and dedication that goes into producing food like yours, starting with those incredible eggs you so generously gave away." Elias stood there, rooted to the spot, speechless. His mind reeled. A Food Network show? His struggling, slightly ramshackle farm? The idea was so preposterous, so utterly beyond the realm of his wildest dreams, that he almost laughed. But Emily Vance's earnest expression, the quiet efficiency of her crew, told him this was no joke. This was real. His heart, which had been a heavy stone in his chest for so long, suddenly felt lighter, almost buoyant. It was an overwhelming mix of shock, disbelief, and a nascent, thrilling sense of hope. The small act of giving away a few eggs, bored of necessity and a desire to avoid waste, had unexpectedly opened a door to a world he never knew existed. His solitary life on Thistle Creek Farm was about to be turned upside down, and he had no idea what amazing adventures or daunting challenges lay ahead. The initial shock of Emily Vance's proposal slowly gave way to a whirlwind of activity on Thistle Creek Farm. Elias, accustomed to the quiet rhythm of his solitary days, found himself thrust into an entirely new world of production schedules, camera angles, and on-camera interviews. The farm, usually a tableau of muted greens and browns, now shimmered with the artificial glow of film lights and the vibrant presence of a bustling crew. Emily Vance, with her boundless energy and infectious enthusiasm, became a constant, bright presence. She moved through the farm with an innate respect for the land and its creatures, asking insightful questions about his heritage breeds, his sustainable practices, and the history of Thistle Creek. She genuinely listened, her eyes alight with curiosity, her genuine appreciation for his hard work evident in every gesture. She wasn't just a television host, she was a storyteller, and she clearly saw a profound narrative in his humble existence. Elias, initially awkward and self-conscious in front of the cameras, slowly began to relax under Emily's gentle guidance. She had a way of making him forget the lenses, of drawing out his true self. He found himself talking about his grandfather's wisdom, his love for his hens, the satisfaction of a hard day's work, and the quiet pride he felt in producing honest, wholesome food. He even shared stories of his struggles, the dwindling profits, the relentless fight to keep the farm afloat, his voice tinged with a familiar weariness that Emily acknowledged with quiet empathy. The crew, a diverse group of seasoned professionals, were equally respectful. They navigated the muddy paths with care, moved around the animals with quiet consideration, and always asked before setting up equipment in his personal spaces. They weren't just filming a show, they were immersing themselves in his world, a world Elias had always felt unseen by. The first segment focused on the eggs, the very catalyst for this extraordinary turn of events. Emily filmed Elias collecting the eggs, his weathered hands carefully cradling each one. She spoke passionately about the vibrant yolks, the firm whites, the unparalleled flavor that came from pasture-raised hens. She even conducted an on-camera taste test, frying up a simple omelet right there in his rustic farmhouse kitchen, her eyes widening in genuine delight with each bite. "This," she declared to the camera, her voice full of conviction, "this is what real food tastes like. This is the taste of dedication, of care, of a farm that truly respects its animals and its land." Beyond the eggs, Emily expressed interest in every facet of Thistle Creek. She filmed him tending his small vegetable patch, discussing the heirloom varieties he cultivated. She spent hours in the barn, learning about his chickens, their distinct personalities, their daily routines. She asked about his composting methods, his water conservation efforts, his philosophy on sustainable living. Elias, often reserved and introverted, found himself opening up, sharing his knowledge and his passion with an eager and appreciative audience. One afternoon, as they were filming a segment about his beehives, Emily spotted his old, perpetually ailing tractor, its paint faded, its engine perpetually sputtering. "That old beauty has seen some miles, hasn't it?" she remarked, a playful twinkle in her eye. Elias chuckled, a rare, genuine sound. "More miles than sense, most days. She's due for retirement, but retirement isn't in the budget right now." Emily simply nodded, a thoughtful expression on her face. She didn't say anything further, but Elias noticed her lingering gaze on the ancient machinery, a subtle flicker of something he couldn't quite decipher. As the days of filming stretched into a week, a comfortable rapport developed between Elias and Emily. She wasn't just his interviewer, she was a kindred spirit, someone who understood the deep connection he had to his land and his way of life. She had a natural curiosity, an infectious energy that often surprised him. Yet she also possessed a quiet sensitivity, sensing when he needed a moment of solitude or a break from the cameras. During their lunch breaks, often simple sandwiches shared on the porch, they would talk about more than just the show. Emily spoke of her own journey, her love for food, her desire to bring authentic stories to a mass audience. She confessed her initial skepticism when producers would bring her overly manicured, perfectly staged farms, and how his free eggs sign had been a breath of fresh air. Elias, in turn, found himself sharing stories of his childhood on the farm, the lessons his grandfather had taught him, and the challenges of preserving a traditional way of life in a modern world. "It's not just about the food, is it, Mr. Thorne?" Emily observed one afternoon, her gaze sweeping across the sun-drenched pastures. "It's about the connection, the story behind it all." "Elias," he corrected her, a faint smile touching his lips. "And yes, Emily, it's about heart. You can taste the difference when something's been grown with heart." She smiled back, her eyes shining with understanding. "And that, Elias, is exactly what we want to show the world. The heart of Thistle Creek Farm." As the film crew packed up their equipment on the final day, the farm seemed strangely quiet, almost empty. Elias felt a pang of unexpected sadness. He had grown accustomed to their presence, to Emily's vibrant energy. The whirlwind had been disruptive, yes, but it had also brought a surprising sense of connection, a glimmer of hope that transcended the simple act of selling eggs. "We'll be in touch about the airing date, Elias," Emily said, her hand resting warmly on his arm as she prepared to leave. "And thank you, truly. This has been an incredibly special experience. You have a remarkable story, and remarkable eggs." Elias just nodded, a lump in his throat. He watched as the vans pulled away, the dust settling once more on the quiet road. He was back to his solitude, but something had irrevocably changed. He didn't know what the show would bring, what impact it would have, but he knew that Emily Vance had seen him, truly seen him. And that alone felt like a profound gift. He was a struggling farmer who gave away extra eggs, unaware the recipient ran a Food Network show, and the quiet ripple effect of that simple act was just beginning to unfurl. The weeks following the filming were a peculiar blend of anticipation and the familiar rhythm of farm life for Elias. The silence that had descended upon Thistle Creek Farm after the crew's departure felt deeper, yet it was also infused with a new, subtle energy, a hum of unspoken possibilities. He found himself looking at his chickens, his fields, his worn farmhouse with a renewed sense of pride, a quiet validation that someone, particularly someone like Emily Vance, had seen the inherent value in his work. He occasionally received calls from Emily's production team, confirming details, checking facts, and updating him on the post-production process. Each call was a small jolt of excitement, a reminder that the whirlwind was still very much in motion, just out of his immediate sight. They informed him of the tentative airing date for the premiere of the new Farm to Feast season, featuring Thistle Creek Farm as the opening episode. He marked it on his calendar, a date circled in red, both thrilling and daunting. True to her word, Emily also sent him a thoughtful gift, a brand-new, top-of-the-line tractor. It arrived unannounced one morning, a gleaming red behemoth, delivered by a polite professional team who simply stated, "Ms. Vance's compliments, Mr. Thorne," she insisted. Elias stood speechless, staring at the powerful machinery, its engine purring with a promise of efficiency and relief from his endless mechanical woes. It was an incredibly generous, unsolicited gesture, a powerful testament to her appreciation and understanding of his struggles, an act that brought a lump to his throat and a profound sense of gratitude to his heart. He worked with the new tractor, its smooth operation, a revelation compared to his old sputtering relic. It saved him hours of labor, allowing him to focus on other aspects of the farm, to experiment with new crops, and even to dedicate more time to the careful cultivation of his heritage chicken breeds. The gift was not just practical, it was symbolic, a tangible sign of Emily's kindness and belief in his farm. Finally, the premiere night arrived. Elias, after much deliberation, decided to watch it alone in his farmhouse, preferring the quiet solitude to the bewildered questions of his few neighbors. He sat in his worn armchair, the television, usually a dusty, ignored appliance, now the focal point of his anxious anticipation. He took a deep breath as the familiar Food Network logo appeared, followed by the upbeat theme music of Farm to Feast. The opening montage began, showcasing lush landscapes, vibrant produce, and then, a familiar sight, the winding gravel road leading to Thistle Creek Farm. Elias felt a strange tightening in his chest. His farm, his life, on national television. Emily Vance appeared on screen, her smile radiating warmth, her voice captivating. She introduced the new season, emphasizing the importance of sustainable agriculture and connecting with the origins of food. Then, she transitioned to his story, her voice filled with genuine emotion. "Our journey this season begins," she declared, "with a simple, yet profound act of generosity that truly embodies the spirit of Farm Tootable. A small basket of free eggs, placed by the roadside, led us to a place of unparalleled passion and dedication, to a farmer who pours his heart into every single thing he grows." The camera then cut to a shot of his free eggs sign, then to him, collecting eggs, his hands gentle and reverent. Emily's narration was interspersed with his own interviews, his voice, usually reserved, now carrying a quiet authority as he spoke about his philosophy, his struggles, his hopes. The segment on his chickens highlighted their distinct personalities, turning them from mere farm animals into individual characters. The camera lingered on his vegetable patch, showcasing the vibrant colors and textures of his heirloom produce. And then, the emotional moment when Emily tasted his eggs, her eyes widening in pure delight. The segment on his old tractor was particularly poignant. Emily spoke about the dedication of small farmers, the constant uphill battle against financial constraints, and how a simple piece of equipment could symbolize so much. She didn't mention her gift, but the subtext was clear, a subtle nod to the struggles he faced. The episode concluded with Emily standing in front of his farmhouse, the setting sun casting a golden glow over Thistle Creek. "This isn't just about eggs," she concluded, her voice filled with conviction. "It's about heart. It's about connection. It's about supporting those who dedicate their lives to feeding us, to nurturing the land, to preserving a way of life that is slowly fading. Elias Thorne and Thistle Creek Farm are a testament to that spirit, and we are incredibly honored to share his story with you." End quote. When the credits rolled, Elias sat in stunned silence. He had expected a simple feature, a brief segment. He hadn't expected such a powerful, heartfelt portrayal of his life, of his farm. Emily Vance had not just filmed him. She had understood him. She had taken his quiet struggle, his humble offerings, and transformed them into a compelling narrative that celebrated his very essence. The phone began to ring almost immediately. His elderly neighbors, who had clearly watched the show, called, their voices filled with awe and congratulations. Then, the calls started coming from further afield, from numbers he didn't recognize, from people eager to connect, to express their admiration, to inquire about his eggs. His small, isolated world was suddenly, gloriously, connected to a much larger one. The next morning, his roadside stand, usually a quiet fixture, was besieged. Cars lined the county road, people eagerly waiting to buy his eggs, his vegetables, anything he had to offer. He sold out within minutes, the demand overwhelming anything he had ever experienced. The internet, the tool he rarely used, was buzzing with his name, with the name Thistle Creek Farm. Orders poured in from across the country, requests for interviews from local news outlets, inquiries about farm tours. Elias, the struggling farmer who gave away extra eggs, was suddenly a national sensation. He was unaware the Recipient ran a Food Network show, and that one small act of kindness would unleash a torrent of recognition, transforming his farm from a fading monument into a thriving, bustling hub, a testament to the unexpected power of generosity and the enduring appeal of an authentic story. His life and the future of Thistle Creek Farm had just been irrevocably, wonderfully changed. The days following the Farm to Feast premiere, at Thistle Creek Farm were nothing short of a revolution. Elias, accustomed to the slow, deliberate pace of agricultural life, found himself swept up in a whirlwind of unprecedented demand and public attention. His phone, once a quiet companion, now rang incessantly. His email inbox, usually populated only by a few newsletters, overflowed with inquiries. His roadside stand, once a symbol of his struggle, became a beacon of his unexpected success. Cars, a diverse mix of sleek sedans and family minivans, lined the county road from dawn till dusk. People patiently waited, eager to purchase his eggs, his heirloom tomatoes, his freshly done potatoes, anything bearing the Thistle Creek Farm label. He sold out of everything he produced within hours, leaving many customers disappointed but still enthusiastic. He hired a few local teenagers to help with the burgeoning sales at the stand and with the increased workload on the farm. Their youthful energy and quick learning provided a much-needed boost, easing the strain on his aging body. He also invested in more chickens, expanding his flock to meet the overwhelming demand for his prized eggs. The new tractor, a powerful symbol of Emily's foresight, made the expansion manageable, allowing him to clear new pasture land and manage larger fields with ease. Local newspapers and television stations, eager to capitalize on the national sensation, descended upon Thistle Creek Farm. Elias, initially hesitant and uncomfortable with the media spotlight, slowly learned to navigate the interviews, his quiet sincerity and genuine passion for his work shining through. He spoke eloquently about sustainable farming, the importance of local food systems, and the profound connection between the land and the plate. He never forgot to credit Emily Vance and Farm to Feast for giving him this platform, his gratitude a constant, heartfelt refrain. Beyond the immediate success, opportunities began to present themselves in ways Elias had never dreamed possible. High-end restaurants in the nearest city, previously unreachable, now sought out his produce, eager to feature Thistle Creek eggs and Thistle Creek heirloom tomatoes on their menus. Organic food cooperatives, committed to ethical sourcing, approached him with large-scale contracts, ensuring a stable, sustainable income for the first time in years. Elias, with the newfound financial stability, was able to make long-overdue repairs to his farmhouse and barns. The leaky roof was fixed, the crumbling foundation reinforced, and the ancient plumbing replaced. The farm, once a monument to a bygone era, was slowly transforming into a thriving, modern enterprise without losing its soulful, traditional core. He even invested in better housing for his chickens, expanding their free-range pastures, ensuring their continued health and happiness, a testament to his commitment to their well-being. Despite the whirlwind, Elias remained grounded. He woke at dawn, still tended to his animals with the same care, and still found solace in the quiet solitude of his land. The fame, the money, the recognition, it was all a wonderful, unexpected bonus, but his fundamental love for farming remained his driving force. He was simply a farmer, doing what he loved, now with the means to do it better, to share it with more people. Emily Vance, meanwhile, maintained regular contact. She called to check in, to offer advice on handling media, to celebrate his success. Her voice, always warm and encouraging, was a constant reminder of the incredible chain of events she had set in motion. She even visited the farm occasionally, always discreetly, without her camera crew, simply to see the transformation firsthand, to share a quiet meal with Elias, and to witness the flourishing life she had helped cultivate. During one such visit, Emily and Elias sat on the porch swing, sipping homemade lemonade, watching the chickens peck contentedly in the sunlight. The farm, vibrant and alive, hummed with a renewed energy. "It's incredible, Elias," Emily murmured, her gaze sweeping across the fields. "What you've built here, what you've always had, really. I just help people see it." Elias looked at her, a genuine, heartfelt smile on his face. "You did more than that, Emily. You saved it. You gave me a future I couldn't even imagine." He paused, then added, "And you did it with kindness. That tractor that was above and beyond. It changed everything." Emily smiled, a soft, warm light in her eyes. "You deserved it, Elias. Your passion, your dedication, It's rare. And it's inspiring. Their conversation flowed easily, their bond deepening with each shared moment. Emily spoke of the show's overwhelming success, the positive impact his episode had on viewership, and the surge in interest for local, sustainable farming across the country. Elias spoke of his plans for Thistle Creek, his hopes of expanding his educational variety programs, teaching others about organic practices, sharing the knowledge his grandfather had passed down to him. As the sun began to set, casting long golden shadows across the farm, Emily stood to leave. "I have to head back to the city," she said, a hint of reluctance in her voice. "But I'll be in touch. Always." "Always," Elias echoed, a warmth spreading through him. He walked her to her car, and as she drove away, he stood on the gravel driveway, watching until her car disappeared from view. He was no longer just a struggling farmer. He was Elias Thorne of Thistle Creek Farm, a nationally recognized advocate for sustainable agriculture, a symbol of resilience, and a testament to the transformative power of a single act of kindness. He had given away extra eggs, unaware the recipient ran a Food Network show, and that simple, honest gesture had not only paid dividends beyond measure, but had also forged an unexpected, deeply cherished friendship, laying the groundwork for even greater adventures and opportunities yet to come. The story of Thistle Creek Farm was just beginning, a testament to the interconnectedness of seemingly small acts and the vast, unexpected ripple effects they could create. The success of the Farm to Feast episode featuring Thistle Creek Farm continued to reverberate, reshaping Elias's life in ways he never anticipated. The initial surge of demand for his produce stabilized into a consistent, robust market. He now regularly supplied several high-end restaurants and a network of organic food stores in the nearest major city, their loyal customer base ensuring a steady income. The financial anxieties that had long plagued him were replaced by a newfound sense of security and possibility. With the increased revenue, Elias was able to invest further in his farm, not just in essential repairs, but in long-term sustainable infrastructure. He installed a state-of-the-art rainwater harvesting system, significantly reducing his water consumption. He expanded his acre composting operations, enriching his soil naturally. He even began researching and implementing renewable energy solutions, envisioning Thistle Creek Farm as a fully self-sufficient, eco-friendly enterprise. These improvements were not just about profit, they were about fulfilling his grandfather's legacy, about stewarding the land with respect and foresight. The community around Thistle Creek Farm also felt the ripple effect of his success. The local teenagers he had hired found stable, meaningful work, learning valuable skills about sustainable agriculture. His once isolated farm became a point of pride for the small rural town, drawing in tourists and visitors eager to experience the authentic farm life they had seen on television. Local businesses, from the feed store to the hardware shop, saw an increase in their own sales. A quiet renaissance sparked by Elias's unexpected fame. Emily Vance remained a significant presence in his life, albeit from a distance. Their phone calls became more frequent, evolving into long, easy conversations that spanned far beyond business or farm talk. They discussed books, current events, and shared personal anecdotes. Emily often sought his advice on agricultural matters for future episodes of A.N. Farm to Feast. Valuing his authentic perspective and deep knowledge, Elias, in turn, found himself confiding in her, sharing his newfound challenges of managing a growing enterprise, his occasional anxieties about the public spotlight, and his quiet hopes for the future of sustainable farming. One spring afternoon, Emily called Di with an exciting proposition. "Elias," she began, her voice brimming with her usual infectious energy, "the network is so thrilled with the impact of your episode that they want to do a follow-up. A full hour-long special, focused entirely on Thistle Creek Farm, showcasing your expansion, your sustainable practices, and the lessons you've learned. What do you say?" Elias felt a familiar rush of apprehension and excitement. Another film crew, more interviews, more exposure. But then he thought of the good it could do, the platform it could provide to advocate for small farmers and sustainable agriculture. He thought of the opportunities it could create for others in his community. "I say, Emily," he replied, a wide smile spreading across his face. "I say let's do it." The second round of filming was a different experience. Elias was more comfortable in front of the cameras, more confident in his message. The crew, many of whom remembered him from the first shoot, were greeted like old friends. Emily, as always, was a passionate and empathetic interviewer, drawing out the nuances of his journey. She focused on his evolving philosophy, his commitment to animal welfare, and his innovative approaches to small-scale farming. The special highlighted his new rainwater harvesting system, showing how it efficiently collected and stored water for irrigation. It featured his expanded composting operation, demonstrating how organic waste was transformed into nutrient-rich soil. It also showcased the improved living conditions for his enlarged flock of chickens, emphasizing their natural behaviors and health. The segment even included interviews with the local teenagers he had hired. Their heartfelt testimonials about the positive impact Elias and Thistle Creek Farm had on their lives. Perhaps the most powerful moment in the special was a segment where Emily filmed Elias walking through his fields at teen. Sunset. His silhouette against a vibrant sky, his voice, calm and reflective, spoke about the legacy of his grandfather, the importance of respecting the land, and the quiet satisfaction of a life lived in harmony with nature. "It's not just about what you take from the earth," he mused to the camera, his eyes filled with a deep reverence. "It's about what you give back, and about finding beauty in the simple things." The hour-long special, titled Thistle Creek, A Farmer's Journey, aired a few months later, to even greater critical acclaim. It solidified Elias's reputation as a leading voice in the sustainable farming movement. Invitations to speak at agricultural conferences poured in from across the country. Universities contacted him about potential collaborations on research projects. Large agricultural organizations sought his expertise on ethical farming practices. He found himself traveling more, sharing his story and his insights with diverse audiences. He spoke passionately about the challenges faced by small farmers, advocating for policies that would support local food systems and promote environmental stewardship. He was no longer just a farmer. He was an ambassador, a champion for a cause he deeply believed in. Through it all, his friendship with Emily continued to flourish. She became his sounding board, his confidant, a vital connection to the world beyond his farm. Their bond transcended the professional, evolving into a deep, abiding respect and affection. Emily, too, found a quiet strength and authenticity in her friendship with Elias, a grounded perspective that balanced the demands of her high-profile career. One day, as he was preparing to leave for a speaking engagement in a distant city, he received a call from a representative of a national agricultural foundation. They wanted to honor him with their prestigious Steward of the Land award, recognizing his exceptional contributions to sustainable farming and his inspiring story. The ceremony was to be held in Washington, D.C., and would be a major event, attended by influential figures in agriculture, environmental policy, and even a few senators. Elias, humbled and overwhelmed, immediately called Emily. "I don't know what to say," he confessed, his voice tinged with awe. It's unbelievable." "It's entirely believable, Elias," Emily replied, her voice warm and filled with pride. "You deserve every bit of this recognition. And I'll be there, of course. Wouldn't miss it for the world." His journey, which had begun with a simple basket of eggs and an unexpected act of kindness, had now reached an unforeseen pinnacle. He was no longer a struggling farmer, but a respected leader, a voice for a movement, and a recipient of national accolades. He was unaware the recipient ran a Food Network show. But that initial encounter had sparked a chain of events that had transformed his life, his farm, and his impact on the world, proving that true wealth lies not just in profit, but in passion, purpose, and the profound connections forged through unexpected generosity. The story of Elias Thorne and Thistle Creek Farm was now deeply woven into the fabric of sustainable agriculture, an enduring testament to one man's quiet dedication and the extraordinary ripple effect of a single, kind gesture. The Steward of the Land award ceremony in Washington, D.C. was a grand affair. a stark contrast to the quiet simplicity of Thistle Creek Farm. Elias, dressed in a borrowed suit that felt surprisingly comfortable, navigated the opulent ballroom filled with influential figures, his usual humility, a quiet anchor amidst the glitz and glamour. He was introduced to senators, agricultural secretaries, and renowned scientists, all eager to shake his hand and commend his work. He felt a profound sense of gratitude, yet remained grounded, constantly reminding himself that this recognition was not just for him, but for all small farmers striving for sustainable practices. Emily Vance was there, of course, radiating warmth and pride. She introduced him to her own powerful network, seamlessly bridging the gap between his rural life and the urban elite. Her presence was a comforting presence, her smile a familiar beacon in the unfamiliar surroundings. She listened intently as he spoke, offering gentle encouragement, ensuring he felt comfortable and seen amidst the overwhelming attention. During his acceptance speech, Elias spoke from the heart, his voice clear and resonating with authenticity. He didn't just thank the foundation. He spoke of his grandfather's enduring wisdom, his love for the land, and the challenges faced by countless small farmers striving to feed their communities with integrity. He spoke of the free egg sign, the simple act that had changed his life, and publicly acknowledged Emily Vance, crediting her for seeing the story that no one else had. Emily Vance didn't just give me a platform, he concluded, his gaze sweeping towards her, his voice thick with emotion. She gave me hope. She believed in me, and in Thistle Creek Farm, when I had almost given up hope myself. Her kindness, that first act of taking my humble eggs, changed my entire world. The applause was thunderous, the genuine outpouring of appreciation for his sincerity, and the powerful narrative he embodied. Emily, visibly moved, met his gaze, her eyes shining with unshed tears. It was a moment of profound connection, a silent affirmation of the extraordinary bond they had forged. The award opened even more doors for Elias. He was appointed to several national agricultural advisory boards, his practical insights proving invaluable to policy discussions. He established the Thistle Creek Sustainable Farming Scholarship, providing financial aid and mentorship to aspiring young farmers committed to organic and ethical practices. His farm became a working model for others, hosting workshops and training programs that attracted participants from across the country. His personal life, once so solitary, also underwent a beautiful transformation. The friendship between Elias and Emily deepened, evolving into something more profound, more intimate. They continued their long conversations, their easy laughter filling the once silent halls of his farmhouse. Emily visited Thistle Creek more frequently, finding solace and rejuvenation in the quiet beauty of the farm, a stark contrast to her demanding, high-octane career. She even started spending weekends there, shedding her city persona for comfortable jeans and muddy boots, assisting Elias with chores, learning more about the intricacies of farm life, and simply enjoying his company. Elias found himself looking forward to her visits with an eagerness that surprised him. Her vibrant energy, her intelligent conversations, and her genuine warmth filled a void he hadn't even realized existed. He found himself sharing stories of his childhood, his dreams, his quiet vulnerabilities, things he had never shared with anyone else. Emily, with her empathetic understanding, became his most trusted confidant, his closest friend. One crisp autumn evening, after a long day of working together in the fields, they sat on the porch swing, the air cool and fragrant with the scent of burning leaves. The stars began to pepper the darkening sky, vast and brilliant above Thistle Creek. "You know," Emily began, her voice soft, contemplative, "I've traveled the world, seen countless farms, met so many people, but there's something truly special here, Elias, a quiet magic." Elias turned to her, his heart pounding a gentle rhythm. "It always felt that way to me," he said, his voice husky. "But I never thought anyone else would see it, until you did." He paused, gathering his courage, his gaze fixed on her profile in the dim light. "Emily," he began, his voice a little shaky, "this farm, it's my life. And you've become such an essential part of it, an essential part of my life. I can't imagine it without you anymore." Emily turned to him, her eyes wide, searching his. "Elias," she whispered, a hint of vulnerability in her voice. He took her hand, his calloused fingers warm against hers. "I know this isn't the life you're used to. It's not glamorous, and it's certainly not quiet anymore. But I think I'm falling in love with you, Emily Vance. A struggling farmer. Falling for a Food Network star. It sounds like a bad movie plot, doesn't it?" He chuckled, a nervous, hopeful sound. Emily's eyes filled with tears, but they were tears of joy. She squeezed his hand tightly. "It sounds," she said, her voice trembling with emotion, "like the most beautiful, authentic, and utterly wonderful plot I've ever heard. And I think, Elias Thorne, I'm falling in love with you too." She leaned in, her lips meeting his in a tender, heartfelt kiss under the vast, star-studded sky. It was a kiss that sealed their unlikely love story, a testament to the power of unexpected connection and the profound impact of a single act of kindness. Their relationship blossomed openly. Emily's show continued its success, but she found ways to balance her demanding career with her growing commitment to Elias and Thistle Creek. She often featured his farm in new segments, not just for his produce, but for the inspiring story of his transformed life and their burgeoning romance. The narrative of the humble farmer and the Food Network star became a national sensation, a feel-good story that resonated with millions. Elias continued his work at Thistle Creek, now with Emily often by his side, whether helping with planting, assisting with new educational programs, or simply enjoying the quiet moments of farm life. They built a life together that honored both their worlds, a beautiful blend of rural authenticity and urban ambition. Years passed. Thistle Creek Farm flourished, a vibrant hub of sustainable agriculture, an educational center, and a beloved home. Elias, no longer a struggling farmer, but a revered figure in his field, looked out over his thriving land, his heart full. Beside him, Emily, her red hair now streaked with silver, smiled, her hand resting warmly in his. Their love, born from a simple basket of free eggs and an act of unexpected kindness, had grown into a deep, enduring bond, proving that the most extraordinary stories often begin with the humblest of gestures. The struggling farmer had given away extra eggs, unaware the recipient ran a Food Network show, and in that simple act, he had not only saved his farm, but had also found a love and a purpose far beyond his wildest dreams.